Boom, 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 boom. I'm so glad you found all that stuff so that we don't get dinged for that song anymore, because Spaceducks is the best.
It is.
Epic
It really
Space
is.
Ducks.
It's hard to go back now, right?
It is. I mean, you can't. How are you going to do anything else for that? How are you going to do anything? What's happening, guys? It's time for Indie Invasion Shorts. What's up, Tim and Ron, our first visitors for the evening?
Here,
Hi, Eric. How you doing?
Good. I'm giving them a ding for being first.
Oh, look at there. Look at there. You got a ding. So I feel like the first thing that I need to point out is that what's the temperature there, Eric?
21 with some
21.
snow. So if you guys haven't noticed our little reminder on Facebook, I specifically picked a background that looked like snow.
Well, it's a balmy 76 here today.
Yeah, I saw you got your slaps on.
Well, I mean, even when it's cold, I still have my flip flops on. I live in the South, man. It's what we do. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. Ron was hooking me up with a guide for my Proxon, which is right there.
Oh, okay,
Right,
cool.
I actually still have. I think I've got 2 still that are going into the raffle. I'll just put one in the raffle this year for the con, but that's what I'm going to do. There's Alder Antonio. Hello. Okay. Oh my gosh. If you guys have not gone over to the Discord, I pulled a picture off of Facebook that Tonio posted of one of his paintings. And if you have not gone over in the Discord channel to look at it, you need to go look at it because it's awesome. Like, he told me not to do this, but I went and burned all my paintbrushes today. It's so awesome. I didn't really. I paid too much for my paintbrushes, so I didn't burn them. But I did look at them and I chastised them for not making me paint better.
You're getting a timeout.
That's right. And Alder, because we were talking about the temperatures, I've determined that you are going to make me remember how to do the calculation because I don't bother to. But it's -6 Celsius where Eric is. So nobody wants to be there. That's too cold.
I mean, I know it's bad, but that makes it sound really bad.
I know. That's what I like about it. It makes it sound even worse. So what are you working on there, Eric?
So I've been doing pretty good with my New Year's resolution of working on half-painted models. It only took me 3 weeks to start doing it, but the other day I busted back into Marvel Crisis Protocol, and I was working on Beast, and I was working on Captain Carter. So
nice.
Having a lot of fun painting her.
Tonio said they had -25 last week. He'd be happy with -6. Yeah, you're even farther north.
He's
so
farther north than me.
I'm
where
good.
They probably
I'm
have
good
to
with
shovel every day.
Yeah. So I know the real thing you've been working on, particularly today, Eric, is Kickstarter.
Yeah. Shall I don't know if I have the window open still on my computer.
Eric's burning money to keep warm up there. That's what he's doing.
Let me see.
So what Kickstarters are you messing with right now?
So this was another one of my resolutions, kind of, wasn't it? This was an asterisk, though. I was going to spend less on Kickstarter after Simon's Marvel Zombies.
Right.
And, well, it ended tonight. Actually, I was watching the last 10 minutes or so before I came downstairs to get us on. And yeah, I did pretty good. I picked my one pledge on day 1 and I left it there. They unlocked a lot of stuff and add-ons, and you know what? I'm like, I got what I wanted. I wanted that big Galactus.
Sure.
Now, Pledge Manager, there's some pretty neat zombies in there, like I don't know, Zombie She-Hulk, and
then you got your He-Man one.
I finished that one today. Now that was last year, so this was just a Pledge Manager. I had to,
and then Thunder Road.
Yeah, that one's too. And I've been watching playthroughs of that. Oh my god, it looks so fun! So fun.
All right, we're done talking about Thunder Road. Then I don't want to talk about Thunder Road anymore. Done. I've been working on since I am currently 100% out of Twisted miniatures. I have an order coming that has, well, I thought it was the last ones. And then I placed my order and I was like, yes, these are the last ones. And when they get here, I'm gonna finish painting them, and that will be every single model from Demented Games painted.
Okay.
Right. And then I went, oh, I forgot to put one in there. And it's coming all the way from Australia. And I'm like, I'm not paying that shipping again. I'll just wait till Alan gets one in the store over here. So I'll still be short one model, the Scarab Mummy, the one
okay.
model.
Yeah.
They're getting you, man. You missed the Twisted Bell again.
That's because I was looking at Kickstarter.
I know that's the way I get Eric involved fully in Twisted. I'll just get him to do another Kickstarter.
I wanted to find what the final money amount of this sucker was. So
oh yeah,
I went and opened up the window. Here, I'll show you guys real quick. Okay, so here's the window.
Okay.
Look at that. How can you not want that big?
KieLoKaz is pretty cool.
Okay, here is.
Man, that's a lot of money.
And it went up 32,000 in like the last couple minutes. It was nuts.
Wow.
I mean, they unlocked like 4 things, I think, in the last half hour.
That's crazy. I didn't go in on that one at all.
There's some neat stuff.
Yeah, there's some awesome looking models, and you probably use some of them in Crisis Protocol, but I just
heck yeah.
But you're all zombies and comics, so that was your thing, man. You couldn't miss that one.
Okay, it doesn't want to load, so I'm gonna just stop it. I mean, they unlocked like Giant Man and Nightcrawler, and just these fan favorites right at the end. So,
well, I have been doing a little bit of painting, and I have actually been still using my new brushes, and I've been enjoying them, and I've been experimenting with some painting techniques and stuff.
Okay,
but I got my Infamy miniatures from Shay, one of the guys who follows us on Facebook. He had some for sale, so I picked them up from him. The Infamy miniatures from the game The Big Smoke, which we talked about that a couple weeks ago, I think, which no longer really exists.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted these minis because it looks like they were sculpted for Twisted. It completely, don't miss the bell again. They're going to get on you. They will look like they were sculpted for the game, right? In fact, Sebastian Archer, one of the creators of Twisted.
Oh, I had my hand on it.
Oh, look at you. So one of the creators actually sculpted a model for the Infamy Big Smoke games. So I got my hands on a bunch of them. I started working on those. That's what I've been working on this week.
Okay.
And Terrain, which is actually what we're going to talk about.
Yes, so let's jump into it before we babble for 17 minutes like last week. So tonight, guys, we're going to talk about Terrain, and we're kind of focusing it on static or modular. So this kind of Terrain, we want to specifically talk about those two things and why or what you would use these for, what are the benefits of one or the other. And I thought kind of to start off is we'll just define them. Static terrain, what is it?
Yeah. So static terrain. Oh, hey, what's happening, Adam? Ron already commenting, which is good. He likes both. So static terrain is basically going to be what you typically would associate with train guys that are building train sets. And I remember my very first experience with it was my grandfather lived in Massachusetts, and in his basement, I remember walking into his basement the first time I went into that particular house and was old enough to know
like
what
the whole basement.
It was like the whole corner of the basement. I mean, like my basement down here is pretty big, and it was probably about this size, and it basically took up 2 full walls. Wow. It had a little spot where you went underneath in the corner because it was a big mountain in the corner, so you could get back there and you could work on everything. And he owned a contracting company too, so he had everything in it. So there's all kinds of lights and electrical and everything back there. But using that in our miniature games versus modular terrain.
Okay.
So that's kind of what the static terrain is it is what it is.
Now, when I think of static terrain, I think of like when you go to cons and you see the smaller demo boards, something that's set in stone, basically, right?
Right.
Okay. And then modular, basically.
Modular,
It's,
yeah,
you
exactly
can
what it
move it
sounds
around.
like. And it's where a lot of the MDF stuff really comes in handy, the MDF buildings. Um, Depending on which ones you like, some of them
Mhm.
take like Black Site Studios. I love their stuff. And it has a floor in it. The new War Cradle stuff doesn't have a floor in it. And then you have the
Foreground.
foreground stuff has floors in it, and then 3D Design, which if you guys haven't checked them out, we'll throw a link up. I know I've uh, put a link up somewhere. I shared something recently about some of his terrain, but he's newer into the pre-painted terrain, and we had some of his stuff at Siege, and it was, I mean, when I'm thinking about Black Site Studios and Foreground being really top tier, his stuff
Mhm.
was right there with it. Right there with it. So if you're into anything that's true 28 millimeter, that's all he's doing right now is just true 28 millimeter. So your 32 mil guys are going to look really funky, especially
Yeah.
your Wild West Exodus guys on that big old plinth base.
No,
So
they just eat good. Yeah, here's a
yeah,
good one. Fat Dragon Games.
yeah.
Todd likes them, and he also liked Dwarven Forge.
I
I
like
like Dwarven.
Dwarven Forge. I don't like the price tag on Dwarven Forge, but
Yeah.
it's nice looking stuff.
Yeah.
Todd, you'll get both of us on this one too. Burn-In Designs does have really good stuff. I have,
And that's right down. That's right
yeah,
in the
I
other
know,
county for me, man.
I know, and he has some really good stuff too. Not a really huge line of stuff, but he's got some cool things. In fact, he's got a prison setup that is
Mhm.
really for zombie games, but I have twisted purposes in mind for it. So there you go. Come
Got
on,
it.
give him a
Got
hand, everybody. Give him a hand. He got it.
it.
So let's talk about some of the pros and the cons because I've always been a modular terrain guy.
Mhm.
Always. I'll build single pieces and put them all over the place. But over the past year, I've been playing the majority of my games on 2x2 boards. And I've noticed that I've slowly been moving towards static where I'm gluing everything down and I'm sticking it down so that I can't move it around.
Yeah, and like
Um,
we mentioned, kind of for demo boards, right? Or for the smaller
right.
games. You want it to be ready to go. You don't have
Yeah.
to worry about setting stuff up and all that. You just throw it down, throw your minis
Yeah.
down, and let's roll some dice.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the things. So let's walk us through it, Eric. Hold our hands and take us on the journey through static and modular terrain, would you?
Okay, so let's keep going with static. So like we mentioned, the one of the pros is that it's predetermined. You don't
Yeah,
it's a time saving, having it all pre-laid out. I think just for purposes of going to game stores or other
yeah,
places to play it, um, transport may be a little tough. That's probably kind of a con on it because it's not like you can just throw
yeah.
it in a tub and go.
Well, it kind of
But
depends on how you build it too. I mean, if
yeah,
you're building for elevation, I think War Cradle did it best. So they took their 2x2 demo boards and basically there's a box with a handle that goes over the top of it
yeah,
and then
yeah,
locks
that's
down to the
right.
bottom. So everything's glued down, but it's high. So I think one of the other pros for me is the things that you can do. So I'm going to switch my camera real quick.
Okay.
So this is one of the static boards I'm working on. And so right here, so this is like one of my steampunk airships here. And so I've got this boarding staircase here. And I don't know how I would realistically do that on a modular board because this piece is foam. So it'd be super light. It'd
Yeah.
get knocked over all the time. I'm not going to put my big mini on there and the whole thing is wobbling. But the way it is now, it's secured. I coated in PVA glue. It's rock hard. And then it's good to go. It's as it is. And there it is. Antonio makes a really good point there too. He says the static lets you go all out on the look. And that's the other thing I like too, because so one of the things I've always done on my static boards, and you'll probably remember this, Eric, is I have handfuls of small rocks,
Yeah.
very small rocks. They float. Some of you will get that. And I'll put them along the edges of the buildings. And what it does is it breaks the hard line between the building and the mat. So
Makes
if you're
it more
doing
organic in a way.
right, so if you're doing modular stuff, I highly recommend that. Just that whatever kind of little tiny decorative rocks, and you just sprinkle them along the hard edges, and it just softens it all and makes it flow together better. But where you have to do that with the rocks on the modular stuff, with the static stuff, it's like Tonio's saying, you can do weeds growing up in between
Yeah,
cracks.
I'm thinking weeds. I mean, I go
Yeah,
to Hobby Lobby and you go in the model train section. They
yeah,
have different kinds of vegetation you can get, whether you want cornfields or if you want
yeah,
cattails, flowers. I've seen
yeah,
flowers where you can actually plant flowers along, like in some guy's little garden.
yeah. Rows of corn. And I think so. I think what got me to move a little bit towards the more static in my thinking. I still love modular. I mean, I have shelves and shelves of stuff,
Hmm.
but what made me kind of go there is my buddy Raul and I were playing Bushido, and
Hmm.
Bushido is on a 2x2 board. I mean, it's made to be played 2x2. And I was like, man, you could just really do so much, because that whole Japanese theme, having little sand gardens and building little tiny bonsai trees that would just get lost or thrown away or kicked over or dropped off the table if they were mobile, if they weren't glued down to the table. So all kinds of cool stuff like that you can do. You can do puddles. You get this piece over here, you could just dig a little hole in the foam and you could make a puddle. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And it's kind of like if you want that, I want to say that model realism. I keep thinking
Yes.
of your model, the model terrain,
Yeah, the
model
train guy.
train terrain,
Yep.
where they go for that realism of they'll do the weeds and
Yep.
you see the lights along. Maybe they have a little town set up in there with lights and all that. And yeah, that's what I think of when I think of
Yeah.
the static terrain is the actual model building.
Yeah. Todd saying he started on an HO train layout playing same board every time.
Hmm.
And for me, I like I said, I think what pushed me to the static is since I'm playing pretty much everything on a 2x2 board, it doesn't have to be huge. Now, look, my youngest is 8, and I already have plans for when he moves out of what's happening down here. And that thing that I remember from my grandfather's basement, it's going to be twisted. Every wall is just going to be twisted,
Oh
man.
my
We're going to have
goodness.
every part of the world that you can imagine.
You're gonna have to crawl under the table and pop up somewhere in the middle.
Oh
And
heck no, man! I'm gonna have one piece of it that's hinged, and you just lift it up, just like at a bar, where you go behind the bar, just like that. I'm not even playing around. And Ron says water features best ad for static boards. Could
yeah,
not agree more. That's such a hard thing to do on a modular board, because roads too and rivers, because what you end up with is your board and then your river or your road on top of it,
yeah,
instead of level with the ground like you would expect your pond or your river or whatever to be. And for me, because I'm all about the immersive experience, that drives me nuts. That's why I don't have very many rivers on my boards, because that makes me crazy.
yeah. You'd have to start with like layers of the foam and carve out, and
Yep.
then pour that the river and water features
Yep.
stuff they have at. I've always seen that at the Hobby Lobby, and it's like, man, I want to try that one of these days.
Well, and really the best guy, in my opinion, the best guys to go to. Now, there are some amazing terrain builders out there. Don't get me wrong. Jim, the tabletop engineer, is one of them. They're amazing terrain builders. But as
Hmm.
far as when I'm doing static stuff, I don't go to their YouTube channels. I go to train guys.
Yeah,
Those are the guys whose YouTube channels I go to, because when it's about building a diorama, which Todd threw that in there, more of a diorama that you play on, when that's what you're doing with your static board, they're the guys to go to, because they're the ones that always do it.
yeah.
I think the only thing that I leave loose on a static board is scatter, like boxes,
Yeah, the
things like
small
that. Yeah,
stuff that is like everyday life type of stuff that
yeah.
may move around, like livestock. I like using livestock on my boards.
Yes. Yes, I do too. I have lots of livestock. So Mike said battlefield in a box. Yes, they have some good stuff too. The stuff that, so like crates and things like that, I just can't stomach the $13 for a box of them when I can go to Hobby Lobby and I can buy like 400 half inch by or quarter inch by quarter inch blocks and get 600 of them for like $3 and then just come home and paint them.
Yeah,
I'm cheap when it comes to that part of it. So
now let's go to a con of static terrain. You don't really get much variety in the playing area with that kind of setup. And then, it's like, what if you want to play a sci-fi, but all you have is fantasy?
Right.
So that's one, I think that's probably the biggest con on that is that, if you have a lot of different games that you want to play, either you have to have a lot of these boards built that you can, switch out. So you're going to need a lot of space.
Yep.
Or you're just playing the same game over and over again.
Yeah. So, and Ron's agreeing with you there too, that the storage is the biggest con for it. I kind of cheat because since I build the 2x2 boards, the very tops of my shelves right here,
they fit right up there.
That's where I put them is right up there.
So the top of your shelves are like their own little world.
They're their own little world. They're my vision of my twisted walls that are going to be in the basement one day.
World building at its finest.
That's
right there.
That's right. That's right. But by the same token, now obviously the people that are in the comments and the chat with us and that are watching, we all know you guys have the same problems we do. Okay, you play too many games. But believe it or not, there are people out there. I know this is hard to believe. And if you're watching people who do this, we're very proud of you because we just can't do it. There are people out there that play one game. They do exist. They have to. They have to. They have to. And so for them, it would be ideal. You know what I mean? Or at least if you played theme. But I think that is the biggest con is storage. Particularly if you're looking at something like I'm only doing 2x2. What if you want bigger than that? What if the game you play is minimum 4x4?
Yeah.
That becomes a ton. Ron said that's urban legends. I don't believe it. The people that only play one game. Hey, they could be out there. I just don't know. And Todd said he's consolidated down to just the Gundam game for now. So, hey, good for you, Todd. We're proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see what other games we can suck you into. But for the moment, we're proud of you.
So, shall we get to modular?
Yeah, let's talk modular.
Okay.
I bet you we're going to get lots of comments on this.
The biggest pro I can think of this one is your variability of the game. Many times with Wild West Exodus, I will show up with tubs and tubs of different buildings and rocks and all that kind of stuff. And I'll make a desert board. I'll make a town. Maybe I'll make a outpost in the, up in the mountains in Colorado somewhere. So it gives you a lot of variety having all these multiple pieces of terrain that you can mix and match and move them around. You're kind of reusing the same features. Yeah. But I like modular because it's like, okay, what kind of story do I want to tell?
Right.
And you can change that story as you're going. So
I think we kind of trick ourselves too for that being a pro. And here's why. And then maybe not everybody is as guilty as this as I am. But if I have the stuff to build the boards, I have boxes and boxes and boxes of the stuff. And I'm right back to the same problem that I had. Storage. So, but in truth, all that little stuff is easier to store in smaller boxes.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong with battle systems. Now, I'm not the biggest fan just because of setup time, but it unpacks and stores in one box and you can build a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
So it definitely has some major perks for storage.
And I think by doing that, you can develop new strategies based on whatever the terrain setup is. Like many times we've said that the terrain is kind of the third player at the table. So you're not just playing against your buddy, you're kind of playing to that terrain and being able to change it up like that. And even if you're just using the same, warband,
Yep.
for whatever game it may be, those strategies will change just based on the setup.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Mike was saying, talking about your game mats too, because yeah, if you're doing modular,
Mhm.
game mats become really important. Ron, I'm with you on this one, Ron. He said, I'll spend hundreds of hours building terrain for a single game
Oop.
that may only be used a handful of times. Me too. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of pushed me a little bit more towards the static stuff. I will always, but now one thing that I do with my static boards that I do deliberately is I build them in such a way that I can set them out to build a larger town. So if you guys look way back in the Discord, when I built my Necromunda table, I built
Mhm.
4 2x2 boards. And they all go together. And so that helps a little bit with being able to kind of still have a little bit of modularity
Yeah,
with it
because you
because
can twist
yeah,
them and move them
yeah.
around a little
So
bit.
that helps a little bit. But Tonio makes a good point too. A game like Pulp City or even Crisis Protocol where you can destroy terrain,
Yeah.
having it glued down is not going to be a good thing, because if you come over and we're playing Marvel Crisis Protocol and you have Hulk and you rip up my glued down building, I'm not going to be very happy.
I'll
So,
just yell Hulk smash.
yeah, Hulk smash. That might make it all better. I don't know. Um,
So I think, is there any other pros for that? I mean, we kind of covered a lot of them. The basics of a modular terrain. A con, of course, would be there's more terrain that you have to deal with storage
yeah,
and just time setup. I know a lot
yeah,
of times going to game days, I would get there an hour early and just sit there
right.
and have to set up. And I've seen you at Adepticon with your tubs of rocks
Yeah,
and and just the cleanup too. It's like you got to figure out where they all fit in your tubs again.
right, right. And not only that, but that's setting up the table. And I guess this is a pro and a con for the modulars, because I enjoy setting up a table. So the
It is
process
fun.
of doing it is just like building terrain or painting models for me. It's part of the hobby for me. But there's other people that would be a con for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'd be like, I just want to get the table set up. I don't want it to be a big deal. I don't want it to be a story. I just want to set it up.
Yeah.
So that one could be a pro or a con.
Yeah. And I think that's why you see a lot companies make things that are just your flat neoprene or a cardboard,
Yeah.
you know, big, I would want to call it a big chit that may represent a forest,
Right.
instead of having actual trees like what
Right.
we would like to build. It's like, okay, that's good enough for me. Let's get going and play.
Right, right, and there's a lot of people that are like that. I know that Unipolar Games had a really good push with the flat neoprene terrain
Yeah.
with the War Machine crowd, because I don't know how War Machine plays, but apparently something about the whole mechanic of it is you really didn't want all that stuff on the table, as far as height and stuff to be in the way. So he had a huge push for that. He did a lot of stuff with them, made a lot of flat terrain for them specifically because of that. That just doesn't do it for me
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all. Not even close. I'm gonna show up and be like, "Are we gonna set up terrain? It's already set
Now,
up." Oh
something
no,
like
it's not.
that would be perfect for any of your games that are, the airplane theme where you're just flying over the
Yeah,
terrain. So that would be fine for games
yeah.
like that.
I actually still use that stuff because I've got a bunch of that stuff from Unipolar Games, and I use it in Wings of Glory.
Yeah. Yep. Um, yeah. And Tim brings up a good point. He uses a lot of that kind of terrain for when he just wants a quick solo game. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to take a lot of time to set it up or tear it down.
Yeah. And see, again, that's the whole that's the whole finding that part of it that you like, because ultimately, here's the pros of modular and static terrain. Which one do you like?
Yeah, that's what
That-
it comes down to is
that-
what do you
right.
want to use it for?
Right. Because with Tim's example, if I'm playing a solo game, I'm gonna do even more on my table when I set up. Like
Yeah.
I have a bunch of little red tea lights. That was Tyler's idea at Adepticon I don't know if you remember that. He had the
Yeah.
little red T lights for the RJ 1027. Anyway, I've got those. I'll put them inside the buildings.
Yep.
You know, I'll adjust the lights downstairs, and I'll do all kinds of stuff when I'm playing by myself so that I'm setting up this whole story. So it's what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, that could be like one day you spend the night, afternoon, whatever, setting it up. And then the next day you come and play in it. So,
yep.
And like you said, that's part of the hobby. It's how deep do you want to go? Do you want that quick game, or do you want that immersive, feeling like you're in the jungle or you're in ancient Egypt or something?
Right. Oh man, maybe that's what Mike said, love the fact that terrain is part of your army. And that just made me think.
Yeah.
I think Twisted needs terrain pieces that match each faction, like that you can bring into the game.
Well, I like you posted pictures on Facebook and
I like that idea.
Discord with your it was inside a tomb, right? And you actually used some
oh yeah, therapy sand.
You made a kitty box.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. I love it, man. Because I went to Alan and I played on it just the other day. We played just a small pickup games, like 4 or 5 models per side, and it was fantastic because I've got a big wide paintbrush that I set aside for it, and you just push the sand around and put it wherever you want and redo the board. Obviously, I built sides up on it so that the sand doesn't get everywhere. Oh, but it's so cool. I love it. It's awesome. It's like my favorite board now. And I don't even play the Scions, right? I have them, but I don't play them. They're not my favorite faction. So Todd says 40K has terrain. You can do that, buy with points. I think that's a really cool idea. And this Twisted has interactive terrain too, like exploding gas lamps and sewer slimes, all kinds of stuff like that. So that would be a neat thing. I'm gonna noodle on that. I'll probably be up late tonight now building something. Oh. So anyway, that is our take on static and modular terrain. It seems like every time we talk about something where there's 2 of them, what it really boils down to is, what do you like to do?
Yeah.
And the reality is it's a hobby, not a job. So
make it fun.
It really is whatever you want to do. If you want to set up a 4x6 table of nothing but flat terrain and that's going to make you happy, knock yourself out.
Or if you want to build a whole city in your basement.
Right. Yes.
Coming soon over there.
Yes. Ron's building a bunch of terrain for Don't Look Back. Good choice, man. Good choice. Fun game. Game. All right. Well, I think it's my turn to take us out.
Yep.
Oh, we're about to have a special guest. Ready? Here we go. Special guest coming in. There he is. Look at him flexing in the back. Golly.
He's
all right. Fastest 30 minutes in gaming, as our wonderful friend Todd has coined the phrase for us. Okay, hold on. I know we were getting ready to go. Tonio says podcast mansion basement will be awesome. Yes, it
Why
will.
do you feed the monster like that?
It will feed the monster.
Feeding the monster.
That's awesome. And, hey, well, at least we know people are listening when we talk, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. It's been a blast. You can check us out on all of your podcast channels that you can listen to stuff on: iTunes, Google, iHeart, blah, blah, all those places you can check us out. Also, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord. You can see stuff we're working on, stuff we're talking about, all kinds of other stuff, and pictures that I share of Tonio's awesome paint jobs. Another plug for him there. And also, but in order to see those ones, you got to go over to the Discord channel. That's where I shared it. But check out the Discord. We got a lot of cool stuff going on. Good conversations. I'm finding out stuff about games like the Gundam game I never even knew about. Yeah. So I'm finding out some cool stuff too. Dangerous, but cool. Dangerous, but cool. You can also find us over on Patreon, where actually we haven't posted anything over there in a long time, but we do have some stuff over there. You can check out some older videos. We also have If Rain in Hell is your game. We have actually some files over there that a friend of the show, Seth, did and made cards for Rain in Hell. So there's some stuff over there. You can go check it out. Throw pennies at us if you want, or quarters. Whichever works for you. And last but not least, the best, I think, is Redbubble. Check us out on our Redbubble store where you can get all of your Indie Invasion merchandise, which is super cool because I just got my t-shirt and my hoodie last week. You got your hat. Do you have your hoodie on, or is that a different one?
I do got my hoodie on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So go over and check that out. It's fun to kind of dig through that stuff and see what you can get a logo put on. Coffee cup is a must.
Yep.
Coffee cup is a must. So that, ladies and gentlemen, friends, confidants, cool people that we like to hang out with. Until next week, prepare yourself for the invasion.